Hello, everyone. Thank you, Nicole, for getting everyone started. I appreciate that. I always need to save my voice for the presentation. So I've been reading the chat, though. I have been reading about all of your guys' struggles, and I'm really excited to have all of you guys here. Also, my team is here. So you met Nicole. She's amazing. She's in Canada. Joellen's here from Colorado, and I believe Nora is also here from Ireland. So our team is here to help support you guys with questions in the chat. And yeah, go ahead, keep typing in where you're from and what your biggest struggle is in your riding. I am so excited for this webinar. I've been working extremely hard at making a presentation that I know is going to help you guys, regardless of what your biggest struggle is in your riding. Working on contact, working on the connection is going to help you to solve that problem, because contact and connection at a very basic level is about communicating with your horse and getting control of your horse's body and your horse's mind, which is extremely important, number one, to stay safe, and number two, so that you can enjoy your ride. So I'm really, really looking forward to this presentation. Also, be sure to stick around till the end. 3 lucky winners are going to get a free ticket into our new program. So we're going to be announcing that at the end of this presentation. And I also want you guys to get out a piece of paper to take some notes. At the top of it, you can write that what your biggest struggle is right now in your riding. Then we're going to talk about contact is the first topic. The second topic is connection. The third topic is roundness. So I really want you guys to understand those 3 terms and how they all fit together. And then at the bottom is why. So like, why is it important? Why do we even care that our horses are round and correctly using their top line? I wanted to start out today's presentation with a story about a very pivotal moment in my career as a rider. I started out riding dressage when I was 14, or when I was like 11, I think. When I was 14, my parents bought me a 4-year-old warm blood, which in retrospect was maybe not the best thing. His name was Geronimo. He was not very educated. And within several months of having Geronimo, he started rearing. Why did he start rearing? Because I was trying to get him round, and I was trying to teach him to accept the contact and connect through his body. The problem was that I didn't know how. I didn't know how to break it down in a way that he could understand. So instead of teaching him little pieces to help him understand how to give to the pressure, I was basically doing a lot of kicking and pulling until he figured out that if he reared, the pressure got released. And it was a really emotional time because I was told by my trainer that he was a bad horse, that he was dangerous, that we should get rid of him. In the meantime, we also spent a lot of money on chiropractors, vets. I think we even called a psychic and like made sure that his energy was all flowing correctly. And the bottom line was that there was nothing wrong with Geronimo. The problem was me. The problem was my training. The problem was that I wasn't explaining the pieces to him so that he could understand. Luckily, my parents are incredibly supportive, and we took Geronimo to a natural horsemanship trainer named Larry. And that is really where I started to understand how to break things down in a way that a horse could understand. So we went back to the basics and just teaching him to bend, teaching him to give to pressure, teaching him exactly what to do with his body so that he didn't need to rear and get defensive. And at the time, it was hard because I wanted to be like showing dressage. And here I was learning about groundwork, but I learned so much from that experience. And I'm really excited to share with you guys my knowledge. I've trained thousands of horses, and not just trained horses. I think there's a big difference in getting a young horse or a problem horse and being able to break things down in a way that they can understand and in a way that you can really communicate with them. So the good news is that Geronimo ended up being a fantastic horse. I showed him all the way up through the FEI and through the I2. So he did most of the Grand Prix. And I learned so much from this whole experience. I'm eager to share with you guys my experience so that you don't have to go through all the bad stuff that I had to. But I want to help you understand about how to communicate with your horses, how to have a better relationship with your horse. Contact and connection is something that is very basic in the sense that you need it to be able to turn, stop, and go. But it's also something that you're always working on. So even if you're a more upper level rider, contact and connection is what allows you to do the complicated movements. It's also what allows you to have expression. So like when you watch the Olympics or the World Cup and those horses have so much expression in their movements, that is because of contact and connection. So awesome. I'm so excited for today. Let me go ahead and share my screen and we will get started with the slides. You also are going to want to make sure to have your chat open as I'll be asking you guys some questions and I would love to see your answers and see what you have to say. Okay, so as I mentioned, contact and connection is about control of your horse's body and mind. And when you have control of your horse's body and mind, for one, you're going to stay safe. And for two, you're going to enjoy riding and have fun riding. When you can control 1,400 pounds of horse flesh underneath of you, it is really an amazing thing. Go ahead and let me know in the chat what type of rider you consider yourself to be. So do you consider yourself just a pleasure rider? Let's see, Lola says dressage. I see mostly dressage so far. Everything, dressage, pleasure, jumper. The chat's going so fast. We have so many people here, which is awesome. I really want to commend all of you guys for spending this time learning. That is huge because just going around and doing the same thing over and over again doesn't work. You have to learn and find new systems. Okay, so mainly dressage riders here, which is fantastic. My point in this slide is that regardless of what discipline you do, whether you're a jumper or an eventer or a trail rider, contact and connection is important because it allows you to control your horse. So you need to, even if you're a jumper rider, you need to be able to turn and stop, and same thing if you do trail riding. So that is important regardless of your discipline. And safety first. We've all been hurt riding horses or falling off, and contact and connection at a very basic level, it's what allows you to stop your horse. It's what allows you to turn your horse and really control the forward motion. So that is why it's really important to work on it and to train your horses so that you have control and that you are able to stay safe. Let's start out with what is contact. So in the most basic terms, contact refers to the situation in which the reins are stretched in a straight line between the mouth of the horse and the hands of the rider with no loop. So question, do I have contact in the left rein? No. Okay, yes, I see a lot of no's there. So contact is just about basically feeling the lips of your horse, like feeling each side of your horse's mouth. And you always want to have a straight line from your elbow to the horse's mouth. Why contact? So why do we start with contact? The reason that we start with contact is because when you can control your horse's pull, you can control their brain. So the horse's pull is up there at the top of their head. When you put the bridle on your horse, the top part of your bridle goes across the horse's pull. That is basically the connection between your horse's neck and your horse's head. And this is a really important juncture because there's a lot of nerves that connect here. And so when you're able to control your horse's pull, you're able to control what their brain is doing. You can control the pull by lowering it. So like you can see here in this photo, I'm asking my horse Kensington to drop his pull down, which that alone immediately gets your horse to relax. The pull can also, the horse can flex to the left or the right, and the horse can also put their nose in front of the vertical or behind the vertical. So there's a lot of motion in the pull joint, and contact is about getting control of the pull so that you can control your horse's brain. I know some of you guys were saying that your horse is distracted or unfocused. Getting contact is going to help to get your horse focused and relaxed. Now, how do you teach your horse to accept the contact? This is where a lot of us get stuck. We end up kicking and pulling, our hands hurt, our shoulders are tight, we get holes in our gloves. And it's really important to go back to the basics and to teach your horse to give to the pressure of the bit. You always, always, always want to start the photo on the left there. You start by teaching your horse to bend. So at a very basic level, if I'm standing on the left side of my horse and I take the left rein, I apply pressure on the left rein. I want my horse to turn his head to the left. When he turns his head to the left, there's a release of the pressure, and then you repeat that over and over again. So whenever you start feeling like your horse is confused or like there's too much pressure there, you have to go back to something very, very simple, which is that when I take on the bit, the horse gives, and then they get a release from pressure. And this basically is why Geronimo started rearing, because he didn't understand what he was supposed to do to get rid of the pressure. And the only thing that he could find was to rear. So it wasn't Geronimo's fault. It was that I wasn't communicating it clearly to him. So this is where contact gets a little more complicated. According to the FEI, contact is the soft, steady connection between the rider's hand and the horse's mouth. The horse should go rhythmically forward from the rider's driving aids and seek contact with the rider's hands, thus going into the contact. The horse seeks the contact and the rider provides the contact. So contact for riding, we have to do it while we're moving. So it's not just about standing still, it's about while you're going forward, being able to control your horse's neck and control your horse's pull. Oftentimes, we all end up doing way too much with our hands. That's kind of human instinct because everything in our life is all about our hands, whether you're texting or typing or driving. Most of what you do in life is with your hands. When you ride, you want to do most of your aids come from your seat and your legs into a forward feeling hand. So you have to create the energy into your hand in order to establish contact. I was reading, I seriously got like 500 emails from you guys about what your biggest issue is. And a lot of you guys said you struggle with maintaining steady contact. A lot of times that's because your seat isn't good enough. So if you have trouble maintaining a steady contact, work on your seat, maybe do some work without stirrups, really try to get your seat connected to your horse's back. And that is going to help you to maintain a steady contact with your horse's mouth. So direct rein aid. I would say about 90% of the time when you're riding, you should be using a direct rein aid to establish contact. A direct rein aid means that there's a straight line from your elbow to the horse's mouth. Go ahead and let me know in the chat what your most common problem is here. So a lot of riders straighten out their arms and have their hands too low. So it could be too low. Some riders have their hands too high. Some riders go indirect with the rein aid. I see someone here says elbows out. So yeah, elbows out and palms facing downward. That's another common mistake. The reason that you want to ride with direct rein aid is because it allows you to be most effective, and it also allows you to have a supple and following contact. So if your hands are too low and your arms are locked out, that makes your arms stiff. And your horse's contact is a mirror of your arm. So if your arm is straight and stiff, guess what? Your horse is going to be stiff. If your hands are too high, sometimes that can cause your horse to curl. If you're using indirect rein aids and your hand is going across the horse's neck, that's usually a sign that your horse isn't listening correctly to your leg. So those are some of the most common mistakes. Julia, I see her in the chat. You say your reins are too loose. Okay, the next slide is for you, Julia. So do you find that your reins are constantly getting longer? I had a student once that said that she didn't understand her reins were just like magically growing all the time. So the way that you keep your reins short is that you make a rooftop shape with your thumb and you push your thumb down onto your pointer finger and you hold your rein there. So this is what keeps your reins from slipping, is pushing down between your thumb and your pointer finger. This is really important. You don't want to grip with your hand because you want your fingers to be able to supple on the bit. I also really recommend using rubber reins. Like thick rubber reins are my favorite because those help to maintain a rein length. You can also use reins that have the stoppers on them, but you don't want to just use a slick leather rein because it's really hard to hold on to those reins. So let's talk about the sequence of the Eaves. First, you use your fingers. Second, you use your wrists. Then you use your elbows. This is super, super important. This is what allows you to have forward feeling hands. If you have trouble with your horse going forward, or if your horse won't seek the contact, it's probably because you're going to your elbow right away. So let's say you're riding around, get your hands up here and pretend like you're riding and you're holding your reins, and you want to flex your horse just a little bit to the left. The first thing that you're going to do is you've got your little rooftop here. You're just going to use your ring finger to kind of vibrate the bit a little bit in the corner of the left mouth of your horse. If that doesn't work with your finger, then you're going to bend your wrist. So you can do like a circular motion like this with your wrist. And notice that I haven't pulled back. So my hands are still forward. I'm just kind of jiggling the bit a little and asking my horse to flex to the left. If you don't get any response from this, then you would go to your elbow. But that is super important. And I think a lot of times we accidentally just pull back and our horse stops and our horse won't go forward. And then we don't understand why our horse won't go forward. Well, it's because you're pulling back on the reins. So Linda says, is this what you're doing when you're say scrambled eggs? So yes, this is the scrambled eggs motion for sure. How much contact should you have with your horse's mouth? It should be like you're holding a small child's hand and leading the kid across the street. So you want to be able to feel your horse's mouth so that you can feel if they get tense or if they're going to put their head up or if they're going to counter flex, but it should be a light contact. Like if you're holding a child's hand, you don't want to break the bones in their hand. You just want to kind of feel their hand and then guide them across the street. Now, that said, it's easier said than done. So every horse is different in the contact. Let me know if your horse is number one, too strong, number two, too light, number three, strong in one rein or the other. Let me know which rein, left or right. Or number four, your horse is just right. Oh, I saw Tanya said her horse is just right. I see some ones, too strong. Oh, the chat's going so fast. A lot of people say their horse is too strong. Some people say the horse is too strong in the right rein. I'm going to guess a lot of times if your horse is too strong in the right rein, it might be that you're right-handed and you're too strong in your right rein. So bottom line is that every horse is a little different. And so your job with how you train your horse is to get them having the right contact. So like I said in the previous slide, like you can feel each side of their mouth and adjust that contact. So how do you do that? Every horse you have to train a little bit differently. And like I mentioned, there's a formula that I use with every single horse to train them how to accept the contact. Within that formula, you have to change things a little bit based on your horse's instinct. If you have a horse that's too strong, it takes two to pull. So if you have a horse that's too strong, you've got to be, what that photo is showing is steady on the outside rein. You're going to kind of vibrate and give a little bit on the inside rein. You're going to think about being really connected in your seat and your legs, and then having an independent hand. But it takes two to pull. So if your horse is strong, you're going to supple them, but you're not going to hang on your horse because they're just going to pull against you. I guarantee that your skinny little arm is not going to win in an arm wrestle with your horse's neck. So don't try to do that. Now, if your horse is too light, on the other hand, if you have a horse that curls and is empty in the contact, you really want to provide a steady and quiet hand. So you want, like with a strong horse, you're a little bit more moving the bit in their mouth if they lean on you. With a horse that's too light, you want to be really maintaining a steady contact and that your hands are quiet and like that image of you're holding a kid's hand, and you want to teach your horse to accept that soft contact. You also really want to think about your seat, because if your seat isn't good enough, that's going to cause your hands to be unsteady. And if your horse is already too light, they're just going to drop the bit and not go to the contact. If you have a horse that's uneven in the rein contact, so if you have a horse that's either strong on the left rein or strong on the right rein, this is normally caused, it can be caused by you, the rider. Like, for example, if you're right-handed, maybe you hang on the right rein. I love to hang on my left rein. I'm left-handed. But it can also be caused by an asymmetry in your horse. So in general, like in this photo, let's say your horse is too strong on the right rein. What you're going to do is you're going to put your right leg on your horse. You're going to push your horse from the right leg into the left rein. So you want to hold the rein that the horse doesn't want to take. You're going to hold that left rein, and then you're going to supple and give on the right rein. So you have to give on the rein that the horse is strong on and take on the rein that the horse is light on. This issue right here is a very difficult issue to fix. It's something that I really struggled with my first Grand Prix horse. He was really strong on the left rein, and I was convinced that if I just kept pulling on the left rein, that one day he would give to it, but that does not work. Okay. Let's see. I see we will have a recording of this. So if you want to go back and watch, I know I'm going quickly. There's a lot of content that I want to cover. So be sure to stay tuned, and you can always go back and watch the recording. So now we've talked about contact. So we're moving on to connection. Connection is acceptance of the bit through acceptance of the aid. So connection is where we start thinking about the whole horse's body. Connection is also the third level of the dressage training scale. So it's really an important part of the dressage basics. Connection is about this circle of energy. So the energy generated in the hindquarters by the driving aids So connection starts from the rider's leg. So you put your leg on, you create energy in your horse's hind legs. When you apply your leg, that should go back to the horse's hind legs. And then that energy should flow up through your horse's back, through your horse's neck, and then back to your hands. Let's see, I'll finish reading this definition. The contact to the bit must be elastic and adjustable, creating fluent interaction between the horse and rider with appropriate changes in the horse's outline. Connection is super hard. And, you know, kind of what this definition alludes to is this energy, this circle of energy between the horse and the rider, and it adjusts. You know, sometimes you have more energy, sometimes you have less energy, sometimes in an extension, the frame might get a little longer, and then you might have to shorten that frame for collection, but this circle of energy always has to stay energized, and it is really, really hard to do well. So this image illustrates the difference between contact and connection. So contact is basically from your elbow to the horse's mouth. Connection is the whole entire horse's body and that whole circle of energy. So you get contact first when you have, like when I start a young horse or when I get a horse that hasn't ever accepted the contact or hasn't done dressage first. First, I start with contact, then I start working on connection. Let me know in the chat if you've ever had this. So you're going along, you're either walking or trotting, your horse is round, everything seems great. You ask for a transition and all of a sudden your horse braces and they throw their head up and everything goes haywire. Okay, yes, I see a lot of yeses here in the chat. Debbie says yes, Gina says yes. Someone says their horse stops. So this is an example of your horse accepts the contact, right? Like your horse is round, but when you go to do a transition, that's a test of connection. So that's a test of whether the energy from your leg goes to your horse's hind leg and then goes up through the back and into your hand. If you are not able to do a transition and keep your horse round, then you have to work on connection. The reason that I have this photo here of me doing a little bit of a leg yield is because lateral work, like putting your horse in a little shoulder fore or moving your horse a little to the side before you do a transition, will help to engage that inside hind leg and get your horse to lift up in their back so that you can do a transition and keep your horse round. Your rider position is a huge part of connection, and in particular, your seat. So when I was reading 500 emails this morning from you guys telling me about your problems, a lot of you guys struggle with your transitions, with maintaining steady contact during the transitions. And oftentimes this issue originates from your seat. The purpose of your seat is to absorb and follow the motion of your horse. It requires a lot of skill and strength and flexibility to have a good seat. This is a photo here of Charlotte Dujardin riding Allegro, and her seat is amazing. Like if you need some inspiration, go watch Charlotte and Allegro. What you'll notice is that during transitions, whether it's an upward transition or a downward transition, her seat really absorbs the motion of her horse. And this allows her hands to stay independent so that when her horse goes forward, she doesn't accidentally pull back. That's one thing that I see happen a lot of times is you guys will apply your leg. We all do it. Like I'll do it too sometimes. You apply your leg, your horse goes forward, your seat isn't there, and you pull on your horse. And then we wonder why our horse doesn't go forward. Or in the downward transitions, the most common thing is that you tip forward. So in the canter trot transition, a lot of times, because the horse is decelerating, that throws you forward. And so connection is really about developing your seat and your connection is only as good as your seat is able to stay connected to your horse's back. Okay, so we've talked about contact, connection, now roundness. Has your trainer ever told you that your horse needs to be rounder? Let me know in the chat. Yes, yes, every day. Okay. I think we've all been there, that the horse needs to be rounder. So why is that important and how do you get it? Obviously, contact and connection create roundness. So that's why I started with contact and connection. Roundness really is about when you look at your horse's top line, like when you look at their neck, that there's an upward arc to their neck. Like that's how you know if your horse is round. If you look down at your horse's neck, you should see an upward arc. The reason that we want that arc in the horse's neck is that it also helps them to lift up in their back so that they can carry you, the rider, better. Let's see. I see a little comment in the chat. Can a horse get round if your reins are too long? Not really. You definitely, your rein length determines the length of your horse's frame. So when you want them to get a little rounder and compress in their top line, you have to shorten your reins. So roundness is about creating a flow of energy between the horse and the rider. Physical roundness creates a mental state in which your horse is willing and focused on the rider's aids. And that's really important. So roundness, it does create this physical look of roundness in your horse, but it also really gets your horse mentally thinking with you. And focusing on you, the rider. And that is really, really important. If your horse isn't round, you're hurting them. And this is important to really understand a little bit about your horse's anatomy and why it is actually more comfortable both for the horse and for the rider when your horse is round. So the photo there on the bottom is a photo of kissing spine. So those are the horse's vertebrae, and you can see the blue arrows show where the vertebrae are actually pressing against each other. And you can imagine that that is very uncomfortable for the horse. Horses sometimes are born with kissing spine, but it can also be created when your horse goes around too hollow and not correctly using themselves. When your horse lifts up their back and when they round up in their back, that allows there to be more space in the vertebrae. So that's the skeletal side of things. Now, if you look at the photo over here on the right, what you'll see here is you want to look at this longissimus muscle. So that's what we call the long back muscle, which basically goes from the horse's poll and it connects all the way back at the horse's pelvis. So we want the horse to lift and engage this muscle when we're riding them, because when they engage this long back muscle, then we're sitting on our horse's muscles, as opposed to just basically sitting on their ribs or their spine, which you can imagine that it's got to be uncomfortable for a horse to carry our weight directly on their ribs. So we want to develop their back muscle so that they can more comfortably carry us. This is a photo of a horse's skeleton, and what the little bars here on the bottom show is the amount of flexibility or motion within each of these vertebrae. So as would be expected, there's a lot of motion in the horse's neck and in the poll. You can see that the poll is actually like the most flexible joint in this whole spine. So that's why we basically start with the poll, and I do a lot from the ground with just getting control where I can get my horse to drop their head, flex their poll, all of that from the ground. So you kind of start with just teaching your horse where you can get control of their neck. Once you have control of your horse's neck, what this allows is this allows them to lift up in their back and then engage their hind end. So you can see the green here, that's the SI joint. And horses can actually flex in that SI joint, and that's what allows them to fold their hind legs under and really engage their hind end. So it's pretty amazing when you think about the horse's skeleton, how the horse is designed to go round, basically, if you do the right things. So let's talk about roundness through the levels. Are you ever done working on contact or connection or roundness? And the answer is no. So it's something that you're always working on refining. This is Jessica Van Brendel and Delara and Lottie Fry and Glamourdale. These girls are both such an inspiration to watch them ride and to watch their horses. As you move up the levels, you're always working on refining the connection and getting your horse rounder and really using themselves. And that's what allows these horses to perform really difficult movements. And it's also what allows them to have so much expression, like where they really pick their feet up and they have a lot of suspension and loft in their gaits, and they're able to go from like in Lottie Fry's, in her freestyle, she was doing extended canter to pirouette, extended canter to pirouette. All of that is created by this roundness and the connection. And it's something that they've been working on. Like Lottie Fry's been riding Glamourdale since he was 6. And so it's years and years of training to develop this and refine this. And it also develops the horse's muscles and the horse's body. So when you ride them round and connected, it starts to layer on those muscles on the horse's top line so that they can do the movements. Okay, so is your horse lazy or hot on a scale of 1 to 10? Let me know in the chat. I'm going to get a quick drink. Someone said their horse is at 11, crazy hot. Okay, so we have a spectrum. Some of you guys have horses that are hotter. Some of you guys have horses that are a bit lazier. Oh, Donna's horse is just right. Lucky you. I have a few horses that start out lazy and then end up hot. But bottom line is that connection and roundness is what allows you to control the energy of your horse. So if your horse is crazy hot, like let's look at this photo of this horse on the left here. If your horse is crazy hot, you could see how this horse would be really hard to regulate that energy. Like because his neck is so braced, you're going to have a really hard time slowing the horse down or stopping the horse because the top line is so braced and the horse is so hollow there. If you have a horse that's lazy, like this same photo, this horse looks pretty forward to me. But if your horse is really braced in their neck and their top line, it can cause them to not want to go forward. So if you look here at the dressage training scale, you see that connection comes before impulsion. So we really want to get our horses round. We want to get our horses lifting up in their back so that then we can get them going forward and that it's comfortable for them to go forward, right? If you think about how I just showed you those photos of the horse's spine, if they're like braced in their back, it's going to be painful for them to carry you and they're not going to want to go forward. Okay, so roundness is your solution. Basically, like we've gone through in this presentation, whether your horse won't go forward, whether your horse is too fast, if your horse is tense or distracted, if your horse is spooky. Another one I haven't talked about yet is sitting trot. I read a few of you guys struggle with a sitting trot. Often that's because your horse is too hollow and they're not engaging their muscles through their back and through their top line. And that can make it even more difficult to sit the trot. So that's not to say that you don't need to work on your seat, because I'm sure you do, but you need to have your horse round and correctly using their top line before you really start working on the sitting trot. The other one is that you can't get your horse to turn, you can't do transitions, your horse bucks, bolts, or rears, your horse is on the forehand, your horse won't engage the hind end. So really, that's why it's so important. It's not just about like, I mean, it's pretty when your horse is round, right? And they have a nice arc to their neck, but it's also about the functionality that roundness creates mentally in your horse, that they're more willing and they're more focused. And then physically for your horse is what allows you to do the things you want to do. So when your horse is round, you can turn, you can stop, you can make a circle, you can ride transitions, and it helps get your horse's body organized in a way that it is possible for them to do those things. When your horse is hollow and stiff, it's really hard for them to stop. It's hard for them to turn. It's hard for them to carry your weight and manage your weight during a transition. So let's see. Which horse would you rather ride, A or B? I think I just gave this away a little bit, but okay, B. Yes, everyone says B. So you can imagine riding like the horse number A, that you probably wouldn't feel very comfortable on that horse. For one, you might get the head might hit you in the head, which is, I've had that happen. It's not very fun. But you can see how the horse in photo A, just looking at his eye, he doesn't look very happy. He doesn't look very willing. You can imagine that it would be hard to get him to go forward. It would be hard to ride a transition versus B, that's Kensington, my 7-year-old, but you could just see by looking at the photo that he's more rideable. It would be more enjoyable to ride a transition or to ride a circle or to be able to maneuver him. So that's really why we want our horses to be round, is because we all want to feel good in the saddle. We all want to be in control of our horses. And we also want our horses happy, and we want our horses to enjoy the ride and be able to do the things that we ask them to do. Okay, so with that, I'm announcing my new program, which is called 30 Days to Round. I'm so excited about this program. We literally, my team and I have been working on refining this program for, it seems like forever, like 6 months. The beauty of this program is that I have broken things down so that you can correctly teach your horse how to accept the contact and how to accept the connection. This is what I was missing with Geronimo. And what I show you in this 30 days is the framework that I use with every single horse that I ride and train to help them understand about the contact and the connection and to teach them to get round. So within 30 days, you're going to teach your horse to get supple, soft, and correctly using their top line. The challenge officially starts on September 16th, but you definitely want to sign up as soon as possible. The link is there at the bottom. I would recommend signing up today. When you sign up, you're going to get instant access to the program. So you can download the program immediately, start working on the exercises. I'm also going to go ahead and announce the winners. So we're going to announce 3 winners, and I want you to know who you are so that you don't go and purchase the program. If you didn't win, then you should purchase. So Nicole, do you have our winners?
I do, and I am probably going to butcher their names, so I apologize in advance. So I think it's pronounced Sari Washam, Sarai space Worsham, and then we have Ashley Zulanki, Ashley Zultaky, and then the last one I got, it's Philip Hill. So I will drop my email in the chat, and for you 3 to please email me and I will get you guys connected. Yeah, those are the three.
Awesome. Thank you. Congratulations. Congratulations to you guys. If you didn't win, I'm sorry. You'll have to purchase the program. I was reading in the chat, so there's a lot of questions like, is my horse too young? Is my horse too old? And basically the answer is no. So this works for an older stiff school horse. It also works if you have a young horse, like a 4-year-old that has never even had a bit in their mouth. So it's really about breaking things down into bite-sized pieces. If you have a more advanced horse, and maybe you can skip some of the more beginner exercises and move on to the more advanced exercises. But this gives you a framework of like, here's the steps that you need to take. Within that framework, then you can make adjustments based on your horse's age or discipline, or if they're too stiff. Yeah, so we will post the link there in the chat, and go ahead, click on that link and head over to the sale page. Riding is hard, and this program is really about helping you guys that are feeling stuck. Like if you feel like you're riding circle after circle, you're just not making any progress. You're tired of hearing over and over again from your trainer or from the judge that your horse needs to get rounder. You're sick of your horse pulling on you and being disrespectful, ripping the reins out of your hands. You don't have control of your horse where you feel like you can't stop, turn, or go, and that is a terrible feeling. Or you feel like your horse is always stiff and sore and cranky and you just don't know what to do. You're spending a lot of money on the chiropractor and the vet and saddle fit, and that's all important. But if you don't change the way that you're riding, and if you don't teach your horse how to release their muscles correctly, then it's not going to work. It also helps if you have a horse that's tense and distracted, or if you're just really frustrated. Whenever I'm frustrated, I think, okay, I need a lesson. I need to watch some videos. I need to do something to help me out of here. So the way that the program is set up is it's basically twofold. The first thing is the educational content. When you sign up, you're going to get a PDF called 30 Days to Round. You'll want to download this PDF. I would recommend downloading it on your computer and on your phone so that you can also take it to the barn and access it from the barn. You want to read this PDF several times through because it gives you a lot of the theory about how to use the program and really about how to train horses, which is important to understand. There's over 35 video exercises which are linked in the PDF. So you'll download the PDF and then you'll be able to click and it will take you to the videos for you to watch wherever you are. You can even watch them at the barn. The way these exercises are broken down is there's a group of fundamental exercises. So this is like, it's about 6 or 7 exercises that you're going to want to kind of start doing with your horse every single day. These are exercises, a few of them I do on the ground, and then a few of them I do when I first get on my horse. And I do this with young horses. I do this with my older horses, but it's always important, you know, when you get on to just check in with these fundamental exercises. Then we have some more groundwork exercises. Then we have intermediate exercises and also advanced exercises that work on connection and on throughness. So there's a lot of exercises. You're not going to be doing all of the exercises every day, but you're going to want to start with the fundamental exercises and then work your way up from there. So some of you guys, oh, I see in the chat, Sarah said she joined. Yes. Chris, is it for free? No, but it's only $97. So it's like such a good value. This program is amazing and it's totally worth every penny of it. Okay, what was I saying? So someone asked earlier, like, do you have to do groundwork with your horse? Like, I'm a beginner rider, I ride a lesson horse, do you have to do groundwork? The answer is that yes. If you ride horses, you're going to have to lead your horse from the stall to the cross ties. You're going to have to groom your horse. You're going to have to get on your horse. You're going to have to put a bridle on your horse. That is all groundwork. And that is super important. It's super important that you teach your horse to put their head down. It's super important that you can bend and turn your horse around in their stall. So the answer is that this course isn't about like, you need to go out and do an hour of groundwork. This course is about communicating with your horse, and that every moment you spend with your horse, they're learning something. So, you know, when you go to put the horse's bridle on, if you have to get on a step stool because they won't put their head down, you don't have control of your horse's pull, you don't have control of your horse's mind, and that's going to carry over into the saddle. So there's my little spiel on groundwork. That's the educational side. Now, number 2 for support. So it's really a big part of the challenge is giving you guys this support so that you can see a big transformation in your horse over the next 30 days. We have a private Facebook group where my team and I will be answering your questions. We'll also be doing 3 live Q&A sessions every single week. I'm going to be doing some additional demonstrations in there. I'm going to be talking about equipment. I'm going to be talking about groundwork. I'm going to be talking about workouts and things that you can do out of the saddle to help with your contact and connection. And you can also post photos and videos, and it's going to be like a really great group also for community support. We have an amazing community, and I know that you guys are all going to be supportive of one another, cheering each other on, because at the end of the day, when you help another person, it makes you better and you understand the exercises and the content even better yourself. So this is a little look inside of the exercises. So the green exercises here, those are the fundamental exercises. Those are where I go through teaching you exactly, like if I had a horse that didn't know how to go on the bit at all, this is how I would teach the horse. Now you might be saying, well, my horse is older and he's a schoolmaster and he understands how to go on the bit. These exercises are still going to help you, because oftentimes older horses, they're stiff or they're heavy, or you feel like you're pulling, or you can't get them to flex to the left. So those fundamental exercises really apply to any horse. And then once you go through the fundamental exercises, you can move on into the more advanced exercises where we teach you more about connection, getting your horse to lift their back, develop their top line, engage their hind end. I also give specific exercises for horses that curl versus horses that are strong, because as I mentioned, every horse is a little bit different. And so within this framework, you have to adjust to fit your horse's needs. The unicorns here, those denote the level. So 1 unicorn is basic, 3 unicorns is more advanced. So I really have worked super hard to break this program down so that you guys can apply it to your level. So we start with the basics, but then there's also exercises that are more advanced for the more advanced riders. And you do have lifetime access. So it's not like after 30 days that you won't be able to access the program, because really you guys are going to use this program for a lot longer than 30 days. The 30 days challenge is about giving you guys motivation to work really, really hard for the next 30 days. And once you've kind of worked really hard for the next 30 days and you've seen a big difference, you're going to keep working after those 30 days. So let's see, Susan just joined. Yay, Steph just joined. Okay, so this program is only $97, and you can also do 2 payments of $50. I am so committed to making things affordable for you guys. So it's about $3 a day. It's about what, maybe 2 lessons would be. And it's so much content. Like it's well worth it. I would say the value is really closer to like $1,000. Like this would take a month of me training a horse to give you and show you guys all of these exercises. So I definitely recommend that you join. The challenge officially starts on September 16th, and the price will also go up. The regular price is $199, so the price will go up after the 16th, but the sooner you join, the sooner you can start working through these exercises. Brenda says, I'm in the boonies. So yes, online direction will be helpful. So if the deal isn't good enough yet, you can also win money. So we're going to be giving away $1,000 to the biggest transformation that we see. So it's not about your level. It's about how good you are at the beginning and how good you are at the end. You do not have to participate in this part of it. So you do not have to submit videos. But if you want to win $1,000 and a bridal, then what you're going to do is you're going to, on the 16th, we're going to send out a poster and you're going to film like a short little video of you riding your horse. We send out the poster so that we know you've done it after the 16th. At the end of the challenge, which is going to be on October 16th, you're going to send us another video. And then we're going to judge you based on groundwork, gaits, impulsion, submission, rider position and seat, and participation. And we're going to decide who's made the biggest transformation in their horse from the beginning till the end. So first place is going to get $1,000, which is awesome because in dressage, you never win money. All you win is like a 50-cent ribbon. So it would be awesome to win $1,000 and you could do something nice for yourself or for your horse, maybe buy a new saddle. Second place is $750 and third place is $500. So if you can't get video or you don't want to participate in this part of it, definitely still enroll in the program. You can be a part of the Facebook group. But if you're like, yes, I would love to join the challenge and submit the videos, then that is there for you. And I'm really excited. For me, I really love seeing your guys' transformations. I've done many programs where we've had office hours and people have submitted weekly videos for like 6 weeks. And the difference from the first video to the last video is amazing. And it also, for you, it's a record of your progress, which is really, really helpful to be able to look back and see the difference. Okay, Kathy says, I'm in. Okay, I've been there. So this is a photo of me on my first horse, Achilles. And obviously he's not very round or accepting the contact. I've struggled a lot with this, and it's something that is really hard in riding and in dressage, is figuring out, you know, how to get your horse supple and soft. And there's kind of this difficulty in that in dressage, we're control freaks and we want our horses to go exactly where we want them to go and turn when we tell them. And not only that, but then we want to collect them and put them together. And so a lot of times we all end up creating a lot of pressure and forgetting that at the end of the day, we want softness and we want our horses to feel supple. And so I've trained and ridden, honestly, thousands of horses, and I've made mistakes. But over the years, and especially dealing with a lot of problem horses and young horses, I've really figured out exactly what you need to do to break things down. And like I mentioned, those fundamental exercises are super important so that even when like I'm riding an upper level horse and I'm trying to work on half pass or walk canters or something difficult, sometimes you have to go back to the very beginning and just teach the horse, like, give to the pressure of the bit and go forward from my leg. And then you can go back to the more difficult stuff. So whether you have a horse that's older or younger, whether you ride a lesson horse, a spooky horse, a lazy horse, a stiff horse, a hot tense horse, even if you're a beginner rider, this challenge is really about getting you epic results within 30 days. And I'm really, really excited to see your transformations and also to help you guys, because every horse is a little different. And so we have created a program and a structure to get you results. That said, the support that we're going to be offering is huge. And so in the Facebook group, my team and I will be there to answer your questions and help you with your specifics, because, not every horse is the same. And so you're going to have to make adjustments to fit your horse. And I'm excited to help you work through those issues. Okay, so one thing that is super cool in this program is I did a ton of GoPro footage. And so basically I put a camera on my helmet and I show you exactly what I'm doing with my hand while I'm riding. I know many of you guys have trouble with your hands and knowing what your hand should be doing, what your hand should look like when you're riding. And so the GoPro image really helps with that. And in the program, I take you from the beginning of, just like I showed you at the beginning of this presentation, teaching your horse how to give to the contact, how to give to that pressure. I show you exactly what you should be doing in each exercise with your hands and also with your seat and your legs, because like I mentioned before, that's a huge, huge part of it. The course includes riding theory, groundwork exercises. You get lifetime access to it. As I mentioned before, dressage is a slow sport. So for sure, these exercises you're going to want to refer back to for years and years. The course is also accredited by the United States Dressage Federation, which is awesome. So you can get credits from USDF for participating in the course. Now here is, let's see, some people in the chat are asking about the link. So maybe Nicole and Joellen, you guys can put the link. Oh, there, you're on it, Nicole. So the link to sign up is amelianewcomb.com/30 days to round. And we can also, we'll send you guys an email with the sale page link if you're not able to access it. I know sometimes it's hard when you're on Zoom to actually go to a different page. So this is a photo from last weekend. I was in Chicago with my two boys, Harvey and Kensington, and we had a ton of you guys show up at the show, which was really, really special. And it kind of gives me chills when people come up to me who I've never met before, and they tell me what a difference I've made in their horse and in their riding and in their life, and how I've helped them through COVID and everything else. And when I first started making videos and online programs, even I was a little skeptical about, do they really work? But these ladies, you guys all are a testament that yes, it does work. And the thing is, I provide the education and the support that you need. You guys have to do the hard work, and it requires grit, it requires determination, but you guys are all amazing. And I've seen firsthand the transformations that you can make in your horses when you have the education that you need and the support that you need. It's really remarkable how hard you guys work, how determined you are, and the transformations and the differences that you're going to see in your horses when you sign up for this program, when you make the commitment, is going to be epic. And I'm so excited to see the transformations. Here's a bunch of questions. I'm gonna answer some more questions once I get done with the slides. How much will you be working with your horses? So 1 to 2 times a week minimum, the more the better. So consistency is key. The more that you're able to work with your horses, the bigger transformation that you will see. That said, weather might get in the way. It might be, it's super hot here today. It might be too hot. It might be too rainy, but even getting your horse out, even doing a little bit of groundwork exercises will help you. And it's part of the program. So the more the better, but you will be able to see a big transformation in your horse, even if you're only riding 2 times a week. Joyce, will the Facebook Live sessions be recorded? Yes, they will. How do I know if the
Amelia,
challenge...
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry to interrupt, Amelia. Someone's also asking about the timing for the Facebook. If you can just expand on that too.
Oh yeah, so the timing is right here. So we'll be doing Sundays at 1:30 p.m., Tuesdays at 6 p.m., and Fridays at 7 a.m. All of those sessions will be on the Facebook group, so they'll automatically be stored and saved on Facebook, so you can go watch them at any time. And we've tried to do a variety of times because I know we have people in all different time zones. Marianne, if you don't do Facebook, so if you don't do Facebook, you still get all the educational content. You can ask us questions on Teachable. I do recommend that you join Facebook, and you could just join the specific private group. Like, you don't have to be off in Facebook land. But Facebook is good and bad. It is a nice platform because there's going to be a lot of community support, and we can also do the live sessions there. Barney says that she just joined. Yes. Carla, so no, the Facebook group is going to be private. So the Facebook group is exclusively for people that are enrolled in the challenge. Claudia, can we submit 2 horses for the challenge? Just 1 horse. So you can, if you buy the program, you can apply it to all of your horses, of course. But then, yeah, to enter to win the prize money, just 1 horse. What else? What kind of equipment do you need? You need a horse, you need a helmet, and you need a bridle with a noseband. You can also use a hackamore, and we recommend using a snaffle bit. What if you don't have the time right now? So like I mentioned, you have lifetime access. So you can purchase the program, download the PDF, and then use it at any time whenever you have the time to work on it. If you're in Strides, should you still join? So yes, this program is separate from Strides. Strides, this month we're focusing on straightness, which is super exciting, but it would be a good complement even if you are in Strides. If you really want to focus on contact and connection and getting your horse a little bit rounder, then for sure you would want to join the challenge. So here's a special offer for those of you guys that have already signed up. Tomorrow, I'm adding in a very special live Q&A session. So tomorrow on the Facebook group at 12 noon Pacific time, I'm going to leave the barn early just for you guys, and I will be answering your questions. So I would recommend that you purchase the program now, download the PDF, start reading the PDF, start going through the exercises, and then come tomorrow with your specific questions. And I would love to see you and to answer your questions. I always feel like in life, you know, there's this like sense of urgency, and every day that you let go by and you don't change and you don't try something different and you don't really make a commitment to your riding or to your training, then you're just wasting more time. So it's urgent. I want you guys to sign up today. Studies show that it takes 21 days to form a new habit. So at the end of 30 days, is your horse going to be perfect? Are you going to be done working on contact and connection? No. But if you really say today, like, I'm going to make this commitment, I'm going to work really hard, I'm going to practice the exercises, I'm going to break things down, I'm going to come and ask questions and get support, you're going to see a significant difference in your horse by the end of the 30 days. Contact and connection is something that you're always working on. It's something that, for me, even with my horses in Chicago last weekend, I came home and I'm like, oh, I have to work on the connection and the throughness and getting my horses even, you know, using their top lines better. So it's something you're always working on. But when you make a commitment and really focus on it for a given period of time and you stay consistent, you're going to be amazed at the difference that you see in your horses. Sarah, do you need a round pen for the groundwork? No, you don't need a round pen. The groundwork is very, the groundwork should be something that you can easily incorporate into your routine with your horses. So it's about, like, even when you go and you put the bridle on, getting your horse to put their head down, just asking your horse to bend their neck a little bit side to side before you get on them. But you don't need a round pen. You're not going to be lunging your horse incessantly. It's just about teaching your horse some little fundamental exercises so that they understand how to give to the pressure. So at the end of the day, go ahead.
Sorry, just a few things for some people in the chat, because they're coming up with an invalid message when they go to register. And I think it might just because of the amount of people registering at once. So if you guys are having trouble registering, email me at nicole@amelianewfoamdressage.com and we will get you sorted. Do not worry on that front. Also, Amelia, there's a lot of questions about people if they can use side pulls or a bridle without a noseband and things like that.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I recommend using a snaffle bit with and a bridle with a noseband, but you can use, you know, whatever you have, whatever you're most comfortable with. In general, I feel the reason that I like a snaffle bit with a noseband is that a snaffle bit is kind of the most simple and softest way to communicate with your horse. And in general, you know, every horse's mouth is a little bit different, and some horses have big mouths, some horses have small mouths, some horses have a lot of flesh, some horses have a high palate. I'm going to talk a lot more in the challenge about equipment and how to kind of find what's best for your horse. But basic bridle with a noseband and a snaffle is the best way to teach your horse how to accept the contact. And then from that, you can make adjustments. The reason that I like using a noseband, and actually, if you want to show dressage, you are required to use a noseband, is because if you don't have a noseband, sometimes a horse will just open their mouth a lot and evade the contact. Now, that said, every horse is different. Every situation is different. So if you're more comfortable not using a noseband, you can do this whole program without a noseband. That's totally fine. A side pull, I'm not that familiar with. You can use like a rope halter or for the groundwork or a hackamore. So I wouldn't let equipment be the deciding factor. I think the most important thing is the techniques that you use, how you apply the pressure and how you release the pressure is the most important thing. So thinking that like people do this all the time. They think that putting a new bit on their horse is going to like magically make their horse go round. And that's not true. It might make it a little better for a day or two, but you're still going to have the same issues. So it's not so much about what you use, it's about how you use it. And the program will help you figure out how to use your equipment correctly.
And then Amelia, we have another question. We have a few questions about the video. Do you have to be part of the Facebook group to submit videos? What if you can't submit videos right on the 16th? Can we submit videos that they took last week? Things like that.
Okay, so the way that you'll submit the videos is there'll be a form that you'll get, like after you sign up, there'll be a form. The best thing to do is to put your video up on YouTube as unlisted so that not everyone can see it. And then you'll submit to us that video. You can also, like if you have iPhoto share or any other video sharing platform, you can use that to share the video. And we will send you guys a poster on the 16th, and then you'll have, 3 days, Nicole, to submit
the first submission is 3 days. The final submission is a little bit less of a grace period because you're already part of the program.
Yeah. So you'll have a few days to submit your video after we send you that poster. And that way we know that you've more or less started the challenge on the 16th and more or less finished it on the 16th of October. And like I said, you know, if you're like really worried about the video side of thing, you can totally join the program. You don't have to submit the videos. I think sometimes it's almost more valuable as just like a challenge to yourself. And you can even, take a little video at the beginning and the end just for yourself. But for the prize money, you do have to submit your video to us. Marianne, is there a cutoff date to sign up? So if you want to join the challenge, then sign up by the 16th. And after the 16th, also the price goes up. So it's like a really good value. So yes, you should sign up before the 16th. Any other questions, Nicole?
I've been trying to catch them. I think someone's asking, how do we know if we are progressing with no one to watch us from the ground? Are we always sending in videos? It's a good question.
That's a good question. So like, yes and no. No, you're not always sending in videos. You can post them on the Facebook group. And so that will be a good way. You'll be able, basically the program is about educating you guys. So it's about educating you about what you should be feeling. Like relying on your feeling will help you understand if you're making progress. If you feel like your horse is softer, more relaxed, more focused, then you know that you're making progress. Video also is really helpful because you're going to be able to see like, okay, my horse's head is more down, their face is more on the vertical. So that is definitely part of it. And dressage is a slow sport. So, it's important to also remember that you have to be consistent, and it is a good idea to have video. Like I like to take video at least once a month so that sometimes, if you think you're not making any progress, you go back and you see a video from a few years ago and you realize that, yeah, like you have made a ton of progress, and that's super important. So I want to show you guys quickly, unless we have too many other questions.
We have a few other questions from the beginning of the lecture too about contact and connection in general, if you have time for those.
Yeah, let me show them quickly. Let me show you guys the sale page. So when you go to amelianewcomb-dressage.com/30 days to round, this is the link. You can click here if you want to join the challenge. There's also a lot of information on the sale page. So if you still have questions, you can kind of scroll through and learn a little bit more. There's also a video from some of our students. So if you want to check that out. And then down here at the bottom, there's a bunch of questions. So if you have some more questions, it may be answered there. And then I wanted to give you guys just a quick little sneak peek here. So this is the GoPro footage, and this is actually my husband riding Mr. Scrambled Eggs. I think this footage is incredibly helpful. So let me turn off the sound. So what you can see is you can basically see what his hands are doing, and you can see him moving his fingers and working on getting the horse a little bit more supple. So I'm really excited to share with you guys this type of footage because, like I said, it's mostly seat and leg. That's super important. But since our brains are so hardwired about what we're supposed to be doing with our hands, I think that this footage is really, really helpful to see. So that's part of what is inside the program.
Amelia, we have more questions about the videos. So someone's asking like what format it is. Is this test? Do they do it for 20 minutes? Like, how do they have to canter, things like that? Like, how do they know what to show you?
So the videos are really about whatever level you are. So at the beginning, like the video that you submit at the beginning, I would suggest just doing like, a short, like 3 to 5 minutes of this is what my typical ride looks like. This is what I'm struggling with. This is what my horse looks like. And then the final video, what we'd like to see is we'd like you guys to show some of what you've learned in the challenge, some of the exercises that we've done, and to show that transformation in your horse and in yourself. So it's pretty open-ended. Like I said, the beginning one, it doesn't have to be long. You can show a little bit of groundwork if that's something that you normally do. If it's not something that you normally do, then, just show us like what your horse looks like, what you're working on. And it's also a really great way for you to kind of get a read on the beginning versus end transformation for yourself. Any other questions, Nicole?
I think I've got most of them. Although if anyone wants to correct me, please pipe up now. I've been pretty good.
Okay, we've had a
Krista,
lot of people sign up. So let's see, Marion signed up, Donna signed up, Monique, Debbie, Dana, Karen. I'm super excited. I'm super excited for all of you guys that are joining the challenge, because it's going to be fun. And I think that when you like make a commitment to something and you join a group of people that are all going through it together, and you have support and encouragement and education, like magical things can happen. So I'm really, really looking forward to the next 30 days. I guess it's going to be more like 6 weeks for those of you guys that joined today. You guys are going to get a head start, but we've been working really hard on this program, and I'm eager to see you guys work with your horses.
Amelia, Krista has a good question. Will this type of training on the contact be on par with a classical approach?
That is a good question. So the answer is yes and no. So obviously I'm a dressage rider. I compete Grand Prix. I've trained multiple horses, from green horses up to the Grand Prix levels. And so I know like how to train piaffe passage, how to get the horse to accept the contact, all of that. I would say that I break it down in a way that is maybe a little bit different than classical. And part of that is from my experience with Geronimo, and he had started rearing, and I had to really figure out a way to deal with horses that didn't accept the contact or that had some difficulty with accepting the contact. So yes and no, it is classical in the sense that, in the end, you're going to have a horse that is through and round and able to do the upper level movements. I put in some different ideas to help you guys, like some groundwork exercises, some teaching your horse to bend and give. And I do not include like, just draw reins or tie your horse's head down. Like that is not part of the program, because I don't really believe in that stuff. I believe that there's a way that you can teach your horse little pieces so that they understand how to correctly give to pressure and use their top line correctly.
And then I've had someone ask, how long have you been using this program / philosophy?
I think I'm getting old. So let's see, Geronimo was when I was like 14. So I would say like 20 years. I mean, it's definitely something that I've trained. Like I said, I've trained thousands of horses. I've started horses from Greenbroke and taken them all the way to the Grand Prix. I've gotten a lot of horses with issues. So when I first started out, when you're a young professional, no one gives you a perfectly trained Grand Prix horse. You get the horses that have problems, the horses that run backwards or rear or buck or run sideways or spook or whatever. And so through my experience, I have developed this program. I would say it's 20 years, and I'm pretty much obsessed with riding. That's like all that I do. I don't really like go on vacations or do anything besides ride. So I've ridden a lot of horses. I've dealt with a lot of different horses, and I know that this technique, and when you take these steps, that it will work. And I also know that it works on horses that aren't perfectly trained. And I think that's really important, because when you get a horse that's already a confirmed FEI horse that already understands how to give to the contact, that's something very different than when you have a horse that's like an off the track thoroughbred or a young horse or a horse that doesn't understand. That said, even if you have a trained horse, it's important sometimes to go back and like retrain them and go back to the basics so that you can get them more supple and more soft. Because a lot of times when we train a horse up the levels, like this honestly just happened to me with my horses, is you get so focused on doing the movements and the half passes and the flying changes that sometimes you end up losing the softness and losing the suppleness, and you have to go back and focus on the contact and the connection and getting your horse looser and more supple and more even in the contact. And that's what allows you to have expression and to do the movements correctly.
And then we have a question. We have someone asking, how is this compared to strides right now? And then we also have people asking what strides is, because they haven't been here for as long. So if you wouldn't mind explaining what strides is, and then how, if people are in strides, what about 30 days?
Okay, so strides is the monthly workshop. So strides is like my continuing students. I think of you guys as like my students. Strides is every month I do a different topic. Like this month we're talking about straightness. Last month we talked about engagement. So strides is an ongoing program, because while this challenge is about like, okay, 30 days, we're going to really work hard at these exercises. As we all know, it takes years and years of being consistent and diligent to really develop a dressage horse. So my stride students are people that are really committed to the end game, to the long game, where they want to be ongoing with getting education, getting support from me. So the challenge is separate from strides. If you're in strides, you a little bit need to decide what's right for you. So if you're feeling like you don't have a lot of time and there's already a lot of content, because strides, we do a lot of extra exercises and activities, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed. But if you're in strides and you're like, wow, like I really am struggling with getting my horse round and getting the connection, then yeah, I would definitely say that you should join the challenge, and it will be a good complement to what we're also focusing on in strides.
I think I've gotten everything. Someone was asking, how is this for the upper level horses and the FEI horses that already know how to get round? How will this course benefit, or this challenge benefit them?
Yeah, so that's a good question. And again, like I said, it's always about going back to the basics, and even the upper level horses. So for example, I was in Chicago last weekend with Harvey and Kensington. And one thing that I realized is that I have to go back to the basics, and I have to go back and work on connection and getting them a little bit softer and getting them more even in the contact in order to get more expression and more engagement and more collection. So even if you have a horse that's quote unquote trained, you're always going back to these basics and working on these basics. The way that the program is designed is that there's some very fundamental exercises, but there's also more advanced exercises. So we go through and we explain, you know, how to get your horse's hind end more engaged, how to work on contact and connection through transitions. And so it starts at the beginning, but it also goes up the levels. And it's important, even if you have a trained horse and you're working on the FEI movements, you know, the beginning of your ride, every single ride is about basics. It's about rhythm, suppleness, and contact. That's what you work on, even with an FEI horse, and just reminding your horse, you know, that they need to bend and they need to engage their hind end and they need to go from inside leg to outside rein. And every horse, like there was that slide that I showed, how some horses are too strong, some horses are too light, some horses want to hang on the left rein, some horses want to hang on the right rein. And even as you train them up the levels, like with my horses, Harvey wants to be too light and he gets a little strong on the left rein. Even though he's doing the Grand Prix, I still have to work on that. So I still have to go back to these basic exercises and work on getting him to connect to the right rein, work on getting him to be steady in the contact. So it's not something that you get to just like check off, like, okay, my horse understands contact, I'm moving on. Horses aren't computers. And so you don't just program it and then it's there. Any other questions?
I think we've got it.
Okay.
Dee's asking, will it affect the challenge when other people are riding my lease horse and riding and treating her differently?
It might a little bit. I mean, because I think that ideally is, that the horse is getting consistent. But the thing is, horses are really amazingly honest and responsive. So when you teach them new things, when you try new exercises with them, you will be able to see a difference in that horse. And horses always go the way you ride them. So even if other people are riding your horse, it's amazing. Like they'll know, like, for example, it makes my students crazy sometimes because I get on their horse and they know it's me and they respond in a particular way because they know it's me. So I think you'll be able to see results even if your horse is getting ridden by someone else. Okay, so I know you guys have a lot of questions still. I'm really excited for you guys to join. Let's see, Carolyn, is there a money back guarantee? So yeah, if you get the program and you try it out and it doesn't work for you, send me an email and I'm happy to refund you your money. I do not want any of you guys to be unhappy. It's a really, really good program, but I totally understand that it can be really scary to give someone your money when you don't know what you're going to get back. So if there's any problems, if you feel like the program isn't what you thought or it doesn't apply to you, then for sure, shoot me an email and I'm totally happy to give you your money back because I believe in you guys and I want you to give it a try and see what's on the inside. And I hope that you guys will enjoy it. So when is it going to start? Tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing a live Q&A. So I hope that you guys are signing up and reading that PDF and coming with questions for me tomorrow. All right. I think that's everything. Thank you, Nicole and Joellen, for helping us out in the chat. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, guys.